I downloaded that countdown like 10 minutes ago, so I didn't even know it had the ticking on it. But hello, Cliff. Welcome to the 2025 Comic Book Community Awards kickoff. How are you?
Yay!
Thanks for joining me tonight. We're gonna kind of take everybody through all of the updates and changes for the 2025 CBC Awards, and then nominations. We'll go through the schedule, but nominations open in about a month in June 7th. So we're going to kind of take everybody through all of the details that the committee has been working on this year's committee. So excited that we're kind of kicking this off.
I'm very excited. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me back when ABC on a Friday night would announce like the new season of Saturday morning cartoons.
Yes.
You know, it would just be like a half-hour special, and they'll be like, look, coming to Saturday mornings, Star Wars droids, and then they would just do like a little snippet, except that we're just going to be explaining changes and then waiting for people to be upset. It's going to be great.
Well, that's why I figured too that we would do this announcement a couple weeks out before nominations open, so that any smoke, any dust can settle before we get into nominations, because there are some changes that we've made this year, and so I'm sure you can't make everybody happy, so we'll see what happens. But let's do a quick hello, and then hopefully too everybody finds us. We're now on our own channel, Comic Book Community Awards channel on YouTube. So and this was a suggestion from last year from some of the community members. So we decided to break it out separate from my channel. So I think that's a good idea. And Christine is here, first one in, the winner of the supporter Blue Wrench last year in the 2024 awards. So continued congrats to her. And she's been showing us why she's was a winner, because she's all over the place supporting channels, dropping links. So good to see Christina. Tony's here, Comiverse. Richard's here, one of our committee members.
Thomas, tremendous enthusiast.
David's here, another one of our committee members and winner from last year. Strange Dog. It's this guy Cliff.
Omnipresent.
Christina again. Mr. Durs, who's killing it over on Whatnot. Taku Mike. JSS, good evening. Another big community supporter.
He is. Wonderful guy.
Phil is here. David, Just Your Average Geeks, good evening. Nate is here. And we're getting close to Heroes Con. I'm getting excited that we're going to be meeting a bunch of new people this year. Chaco's here. Good evening. I know there's a lot of live streams going on tonight too. So yeah, we're going to try to keep it short and sweet. And if anybody has any questions as we go through this year's awards and changes, just certainly just throw them in the chat, and we'll get to them at the end. But yeah, why don't we? I guess we'll jump right in. We'll start with the overall schedule. Like I mentioned, June 7th is when nominations open. So open nominations, nominate your favorite channels in the categories that we're going to go through in a little bit. So we have 15 categories that are within tiers, and then 15 categories that are open to regardless of subscriber count. So that'll run for 8 weeks. And then we have the finalists revealed on August 15th. And then we'll get in another 8-week cycle of the finalist voting. So August 16th through October 11th. And then Saturday, November 1st, we'll have the live show and announce the winners in the 2025 Comic Book Community Awards. So that's the schedule. And all of this is the best place to get updates or look at the schedule. CBCawards.org, our website, and then obviously on Instagram, CBC Awards, we post updates, frequently there as well. So, so that is the schedule.
It's great.
Now sponsorships. So sponsorships this year, we're doing something a little bit different. Sponsors will not sponsor an individual category. So just you will be an overall sponsor of the awards, of the 2025 awards. And the reason in that change, and I think that was brought up from the community last year, so that there's no conflicts of interest. So if an individual was sponsoring an award and potentially got nominated, we don't want to have that potential conflict. So, just like we did in previous years, we'll highlight the sponsors throughout any of the live streams on Instagram, now even on our own YouTube channel. So we'll certainly have spotlights, and your sponsorship helps fund the awards. To put together the trophies and mail those out, and all of the cost that goes with that's really what the sponsors support. And so, if anybody's interested, you can just reach out to me either on via Instagram or the email, which is rather long, but it's comic book community awards at gmail.com. So it's all spelled out, those 4 words. And I can get you the details on a sponsorship. So, and then really up next is really our first major change, that we're discussing. We are introducing the Ring of Honor. And if anybody's a sports fan, you're probably very familiar with a Ring of Honor, right? Somebody's a player's number gets retired. Football, baseball, they do this in a number of sports. And so this was an idea that we came up with, where we've seen some trends with some particular channels that have been very consistent winners in certain categories, and we wanted to give the opportunity for other channels or creators to have a chance at winning. And so, but also recognize, the consistency at which some of these other channels have won awards. And so we're going to introduce and we're going to induct 3 people into the Ring of Honor this year. So it's a channel or creator that has won the same award 3 years in a row. And so basically what that means is they're going to be not eligible to be nominated within that particular category. That doesn't mean you can't nominate them in other categories if they fit. But we do have a couple that meet that. And so why don't we get to those right now? So
Jerry.
Yes, the 3 channels we're going to introduce into the Ring of Honor is Jerry the Jitterbug, comic book collector, who has won 3 times for 3 years in a row for best cleaning, pressing, or comic restoration content. So he has won, like I said, the last 3 years in a row. And so Jerry's going to be moved into the Ring of Honor, and we're going to let somebody else have the opportunity to win that category this year. Our next is Comic Tom 101, who is a 4-time comic book winner in the spec category, the Keep Specking Award. And overall he's a 5-time winner, but he's won 4 times. So for the 4 years that this category has been in existence, Tom has won all 4 times. And so we're going to induct him into the Ring of Honor and remove him as a candidate for that category this year. And then I think this one will make Mad Spidey very happy. Mad Spidey, if you're out there. Gem Mint Collectibles, who's a 3-time winner in Best Statue Review. And he's an 8-time winner of the CBC Awards. But so we're going to recognize him and induct him into the Ring of Honor, but again, remove him from contention for the Best Statue category this year. But, I think, as Tom, both Comic Tom and Gem Mint have shown, they have the ability to be nominated and finalist in other categories. So congratulations to all 3. I mean, it's pretty amazing that we're in now year 5 of the awards, and we already have a Ring of Honor with 3 channels creators that have won multiple times. So
Absolutely.
pretty amazing feat. So let's see. I'm just checking that. Rich is here. Good evening, Rich. Just checking on the chat. All right. So let's get into the categories. So right up front, we have our first change. So similar to what we've done in previous years, we're going to have some subcategories, tiers based on your subscriber count. And so tier 1 this year is the emerging channel tier. So for any channel under 499 subscribers, and this is basically for those newer up and coming channels. And so we have 5 different, and I just realized that number 5 is the last category is not, the number is incorrect. Everything else is correct. But anyway, we have 5 categories in the under 499 subscribers. We have best comic book show. So this is really your best ongoing series, a show that is producing at least a show once a month, if not even more frequently, and who you consider your best show. And that could be, what you feel is entertaining, funny, whatever category you find that. We just want to recognize a channel or creators that are consistently producing a great show. And then next we have
a lot of us out there, baby. There's a lot of us out there.
yeah, a lot of new channels this year doing some great shows, interviews. So we're trying to make sure that we spotlight those channels. The second category is best informative content. And here's our recommendations, a channel that's or content that's doing guides, deep dives on books or characters, the history, analytics of comics, the comic industry. So that's really that best information, right? Best informative content. Number 3, the third category is best entertaining content. So a channel that does hauls, reviews, reaction videos. Maybe they're doing games or skits. We have a number of game shows within the community. We have obviously a number of channels that are doing comedy. We want to recognize those channels in the best entertaining content. The fourth category is most engaging host. So host that excels at interviews, hosting auctions, and or guest engagement. So this is another good category because I know auctions was something that wasn't really nominated in previous years, and I know there are a number of channels that have host auctions, and so we wanted to make sure that we included that category or that group of channels in the awards and in this category. So and we're again recognizing engagement, right? So and then last but not least is the best new channel or creator. And so best new channel was not in a tier, but this makes sense having best new channel or creator in the under 499 subs. And the fact that a channel is, under, they have to be a channel that's under a year old, right? Because, some channels grow at different, rates than others. And so we want to make sure that it's a channel that really is a new channel that's come on YouTube within the last year. So that is subscriber tier number 1. And then subscriber tier number 2 is the mid-tier channels from 500 to 999 subs. And this is kind of for those, for those growing creators, the kind of that mid-tier, right? So we're going to see some of the similar categories. Best comic book show, again, best ongoing series. The change here is we don't have best new channel, but we have best live stream. So for for a live stream channel that is your best live stream, your favorite live stream in this subscriber category. Number 3 is best informative content. So very same category as the tier 1. And then we have best entertaining content, and then most engaging host. So again, the only difference here is that categories 1, 3, 4, and 5 are the same as tier 1. The only difference is the best live stream. And so our next tier, Cliff, anything you want to add?
No, just, I hope people think of me when they think of engaging host.
The campaigning is already starting. I love it. And then tier 3, so major channels, subscriber count between 1,000 and 2,000 for established creators with a larger audience and influence. And again, this is the same 5 categories as tier 2 and 4 of the same categories in tier 1. So best comic book show, best live stream, best informative content, best entertaining content, and most engaging host. So,
but more importantly, this is a new tier. New
tier. Yes, we have lowered the subscriber count. We used to do a larger, our buckets of subscriber counts were a little bit wider in previous years. So we've kind of trimmed them down a little bit to recognize, channels under 2,000 subs and below in 15 categories, where, like I said, in previous years, we were at, subscriber counts of over 5,000. And so I think this, with the help of the committee, we really thought it was important to recognize, have 15 categories that really recognize, smaller. I don't like to use but smaller channels from a sub count.
The beefier mid-sized channels.
Right. And I think that's
upper middle channels.
No, I think it's good because there are a number of new channels that have come on in the last year who are finding their way, having some success. Some are growing quicker than others, but I think we're going to capture a number of those channels in these 3 tiers this year. So excited about that. So, and then now we'll move on to the open subscriber count categories, right? There's no criteria to have, this could be, 5 subscribers or, 10 million subscribers. There's no subscriber count limit on these 15 categories. So let's get into them. We have biggest channel supporter. So this is the same category that we've had last year, Blue Wrench fan or overall supporter. And we do want to make sure that it's a non-creator, right? Because we want to recognize the non-creators, the people that support us as creators who are, being mods or just an overall fan and overall supporter by, watching our content and being in our live stream. So that's the biggest channel supporter. Now we've tweaked this one a little bit. But it's still pretty much the same, but we've named it best on-screen presence, and it's really the favorite hands, hair, mustache, facial hair, or hair category. But we've formalized it, I guess, a little bit. This is one of my favorite categories because it's just so open-ended, and it's usually the highly contested category because people just are very they're worried about their looks. So maybe this, and I don't want to troll him. This is not a troll, but maybe this is the year that CJ finally breaks through. But we'll see. Number
Or
three.
maybe it's Rob's year.
Yes, this is true. This is true.
I mean,
Rob
Rob
Fatcats,
needs it too.
he has been nominated, I think, all 4 years in the category, or all 3 years. I don't think we had this year one. And our third category is favorite community artist. So again, another one of my favorite categories. So amateur artist who's not been published professionally. So this is just recognizing some of the great artistic talent that we have within the community. We've had our first winner was Geek Out with Roscoe, and then last year was Naman. So 2 great community artists. So hopefully we'll see the group this year, and hopefully we'll crown another new favorite community artist. And now the next category is a change: best short form content. We haven't recognized short form content in previous years, so but it's a change that we're seeing in YouTube, right? A lot of people are using shorts to help be creative and grow their channel, and so we want to recognize the best short form content creator. Could be shorts or reels. So that is an addition this year. And then our fifth category is best comic book or omnibus review. So this is a slight change. In previous years, we had comic book review and omnibus review as a separate category. I mean, they're very similar, just given the format of the book that you're reviewing. So we put these categories together. So it's a channel that consistently reviews comic books or omnibus. So hopefully we'll have some. It's usually a very competitive category. So hopefully that continues.
Hoping as well.
And then now on to our next 5. We have best statue or toy review unboxing. So that was a category that we had updated last year, and that just continues the same this year. And then category 7, best cleaning, pressing, or comic restoration content. Again, that one has been the same. No real change in that category. And really, with the only change for both categories, best statue and best cleaning and pressing, is that we have now the Ring of Honor, right? We've had previous winners, Jerry the Jitterbug and Gem Mint, who will not be eligible this year. So just got to kind of keep that in mind when you're nominating for those categories. The 8th category is best speculation comic content, the Keep Specking Award. And so that's pretty straightforward, right? A channel or a creator that is creating content in the speculation category.
I can think of one person who has upped their spec game heavily this year.
Yes. I think I know who you're talking about. He lives in New York.
Oh, it's very NYC of him.
Yeah, yes. And the 9th category is best live stream. So that's pretty, I don't think we need an explanation for that. It's your favorite, which of the live streams, of the hundreds and hundreds of live streams that are out there in the comic book community, which is your favorite, which is your go-to live stream. And that's, who we're nominating there. And then the 10th category is a tweak on a category, most innovative content creator. So last year we introduced the best editing. So we kind of tweaked that a little bit. So this is a creator that is pushing creative boundaries and content style, via video editing, audio, voiceovers, thumbnails, or overall presentation skills. So we wanted to kind of, we know some people do some incredible editing. Some people do some voiceovers. Thumbnails was a category that there was some feedback on, saying there are some people that really do some creative thumbnails. So we wanted to kind of capture all of those, on the creative side within this category. So hopefully that will bring in some great nominees this year. And then moving on to our last 5.
Oh my, we have more open-ended ones than ever before. All right, everybody? The
Yes.
game is afoot.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully, there are, we see a lot of new nominees and new channels become finalists this year. So, but here are the last 5 categories. So this is an all new category, category 11, best tour video. So Comic Cons, local comic shops, your nerd cave, your room tour, MTV Cribs. Let's think of that, right? So, and we see a lot of people that do con videos, show off their LCS or show off their, their comic or toy room. So
there were 2 fabulous Nerd Cave videos this past year that I'm already thinking of. So like get in there.
You think of the con tours. There's so many shows and cons now. You can't make them all, and so you can live through the video, get an idea of what the con was like and what the floor looked like. And so I enjoy watching those videos of shows that I can't attend in person. So, and then category number 12, most comedic and entertaining content creator. So, this is one we've added. We've kind of tweaked this one over the years, but again, it's really what you feel is the most entertaining, who the most entertaining content creator is, or most comedic content creator. And it could be, it could be a single creator. It could be multiple creators. So that one I think is pretty straightforward as well. And then our 13th category is Comic Book Community Builder Award. This is a creator that fosters engagement and interaction with the community. So somebody who, there are a few people that come to mind when I think of this category for me that do an excellent job, on their live streams, bringing guests on, or, having an open, stream where anybody can jump on, or where their engagement is with the chat and discussion and debate, and maybe even a little bit of arguing with different people. But, again, I think that one is pretty self, drawing a blank.
Explanatory.
I think it's pretty straightforward, right?
Yes.
And then our 14th category is the Comic Book Community Channel of the Year. So again, a channel that really, for me, I usually think of a channel that is well-rounded, whether that's live streams and pre-recorded videos, and has engagement with the community and with the chat. And so, but I think it could be your favorite channel or a channel that's really doing great things throughout the community. So, Comic Book Community Channel of the Year. And then our last category, last but not least, the Comic Book Community Hall of Fame. So a channel with 5+ years on YouTube. So really, we want to show a channel that has a body of work and who's been very consistent within the community, and obviously, supports the community, has engagement within the community. This is kind of when I think of these channels, I think of, people say the OG channels that have been around for a long time and have, like I said, a body of work within the community. So that's kind of where my thought process goes when I think of, the Hall of Fame for a channel. So, but yeah, that's all of the categories. So,
I want to make it clear, because some of these categories, non-content creator for best supporter, So like we're going to be focused on vetting in the nominations that like some of these categories that the criteria is met properly. And I guess in some cases there could be nominations where a circumstance would change, like someone is close to 2,000 at the time they're being nominated, and then by the time we're doing the awards, they have 3,000 subscribers. So do know everything is going to be set within the time frame of the nomination window, and and everyone will be, and all categories will be vetted as such. So at the time,
we've seen that in previous years where within the sub count, the sub tiers, where somebody may be close and during nomination they're in one, but then they by the finals they could be in a different tier because they've grown. So we do spot check that as nominations come in to make sure that people are put within the same the right tier. So but again, when you have nominations that are open for 8 weeks and finalist voting that's open for 8 weeks, people's sub numbers can obviously change. So
and I know a lot of people have, and I'm switching gears here. I know a lot of people have trouble like promoting themselves. So you can just always choose to simply promote the event itself, or at the very least, like if when you go to vote and you ask others to engage with the voting, just remind them, like try to not even talking about the voting, I'm talking about the nomination period. Everyone try to stay focused about nominating properly within the categories. You can't just go nominating all in one person or one channel for all one thing across the board. So like, just try to avoid that and try to stick to what meets the criteria. And then hopefully it will produce our best list for the actual finalist, where you vote for the finalist. And understand that there are two periods, because I think that's been confusing in the past. There's the nomination period, there's the voting period, right? So if you really want to see somebody up there, give it your all during the nomination period.
Right, because the way you become a finalist is if you are one of the top nomination getters in the particular category. That's how you become a finalist, right? So there are 5 finalists in each of the categories. And so as many nominations as you can get in that category that fits, your channel, more likely that you'll become a finalist. So, and we do, for those who've never voted before or nominated, you don't have to fill out every single category. If there are a handful of categories that you are, comfortable with, 5 or 6 or whatever the number may be, you can just fill out those. And like Cliff had said, we have seen nominations come in with a single channel for all 30 categories, which there's no way that the channel can fit the 3 different subcategory tiers. So just try to avoid doing that, because we don't want to have to eliminate nominations because somebody kind of really filled out the form incorrectly. So and certainly if there's any questions about how to fill out and we're actually going to do a video on how to fill a ballot out, the nomination ballot, how to vote for the finalists. So we'll provide information along the way, but certainly if there's any questions, you can reach out via Instagram or email, and we'll get you an answer if there's something that you need clarified. So I'm just taking a quick look at the chat. I don't think I saw any questions or anything come up, right?
Nope. So far, we've gotten a decent amount of people liking the categories, which is nice.
Yes, this is good. Good news with the with the changes. So,
yeah, I really think the tier changes is very meaningful, and will give some people some opportunities. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And, this was, the idea of doing this about a month ahead of time was to kind of make sure that everybody could review the changes for this year and if there was any clarification that's needed, we could kind of have a little bit of runway to get any questions answered before nominations open in early June. So, but yeah, if we don't have any questions, we'll probably wrap up soon. Cliff, anything else that you want to add before we call it a night?
Nope, I'm just very excited that we're doing this, and I'm looking forward to another year of the Comic Book Community Awards.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm interested to see what new channels get nominated and then ultimately become finalists. So, but yeah, I think
committee members. Yes, committee members like you, Richard.
Yes. Yes, and we have a list of the committee. This year's committee members are on the website. So if you want to go check it out and see who the committee members are. But yeah, no, we have a good group. We've been kind of working in the background for several weeks, I think since March, kind of discussing and coming up with the new categories. A lot of discussion,
yeah. There was a lot of category discussions. So much.
Yes.
So much.
So I think we finally narrowed it down to this list, and I like it. I like the I'm happy with this year's list. I think it gives a lot of opportunity for all types of channels to get nominated and become finalists. So,
and also we properly compromised, which was really great.
More non-creative categories. So we do have the single. I mean, and really the community artist doesn't necessarily need to have a channel themselves. They could be within the community. So those are really two categories that are there. We haven't. There hasn't been much feedback about adding additional non-creative categories. So that's certainly something we could look at in the future. But there's two that kind of fit that bill today. So, but yeah, I'm going to post updates on the CBC Awards website. None of this information was published there yet because we wanted to premiere it here tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and get that updated. So you'll see that updated within the next day. We'll have all of this information. Or certainly, if you're catching this on the rewind and have any questions, please reach out. So, yes, feedback is always nice. Always looking for feedback and suggestions from the community. And then we start generating a list, and then start to look at some of those things for next year. But we do have like I said, we do have a little bit of runway. So if there's some issue that potentially comes up with the categories we just announced, we can bring it to the committee and discuss it. But I think as Cliff said, there was a lot of discussion, a lot of thought went into these categories. So we're pretty solid unless there's something that somebody brings up. So
and a lot of commitment from the committee. Everybody's on board, and we want to make this year, even if it's not perfect, we still want to make this year great. So I appreciate that, and it's really been well done. We're trying to be as thoughtful as possible. We're trying to be as committed as possible. We just want there to be a great show. So let's hope it is. It's going to be great. I know it's going to be great. I'm positive it's going to be great.
I agree. So, if there's no other questions, we'll wrap it up, and we'll leave you with one of the previous winners, not in the dance category because there is no dance category, but the man does like to dance. So, Cliff, thank you so much, and looking forward to kicking things off June 7th with open nominations.
Woo!
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody in the chat. And thanks to all the committee members as well. But thanks so much for all of your help. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
From the spiral dimension.